noise from other yes, outside. Okay, okay. I'm able to understand. Mr. John is having some kind of health issue. That is the reason he is absent for today. I will be the instructor for next couple of hours. Means 1.5 hours. I just shared my screen. Is that possible to you? Some noise is coming. Okay. Is my screen visible to you or not? Kindly respond in the chat box. Yes, yes. Most of the people are responding that they are getting some kind of noise from my side. Yes, yes. We are having the same kind of issue here too. Okay. So from today onwards, we have to start the concept of CSS. I'm able to see our messages in the chat box. Most of you people are messaging me something like you are getting noise from my side. Please give me a moment. I will resolve it as soon as possible.
Now tell me, is my voice clear to you all? I think it's clear now.
Voice is not audible. I think it's clear, right? Yes, yes, clear. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for responding. Let's start with the concepts for today. So we have to start with the concept of CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. This is for applying the beautifications to the HTML document. We know how to use different kinds of HTML elements for building a web page or web document. If you want to apply beautification to that, we have to use CSS. By using HTML, we can develop a skeleton. But by using CSS, we can beautify the web pages. That is very clear. But how we are going to represent a CSS in our HTML document? That is very, very important. We have to know the CSS suffix. So we have to know the syntax of each and every property of it. So let me explain what is the syntax for this. First of all, when we are going to apply style sheet or styles to a specific element, we have to select that element first. For that, we have to use selector. And here, if you observe this, I'm going to use the braces. This is the body of the CSS. In that, we have to mention the property which we are going to apply along with the value. This is the syntax for the CSS. Similarly, if you are having multiple selectors or multiple properties, we have to use multiple properties like this. We have to use selector, and we have to use property, that is property 1, and we have to use value 1. Similarly, here we have to use semicolon. This is the first property. After ending this first property, we have to use semicolon. And we have to mention property 2. And that is value 2. Similarly, and so on. Property 1 and value 1. This is how we are going to use CSS properly. We have to use selector. Selector is nothing but by using the selector, we can select an element in the HTML document, and we can use the CSS property along with its value. If you are going to apply multiple properties to the same selector, we have to use selector and property, property 2, and property n. This is the syntax. Yes, definitely I will zoom in the screen. We used a selector and property and value. This is the selector, and this statement is called as body. Body of the CSS. The body consists of property and value. Let me show you an example for this. If you want to apply the red color to a specific element, something like paragraph tag. We already discussed paragraph tag and how we are going to implement the paragraph tag in HTML document. For example, if you want to implement the styles for a paragraph tag, we have to use paragraph tag, and we have to specify the property. For example, I would like to change the color of the text. So we have to use color, and what kind of color you are going to use. That is the value for this. So we have to use the color name here. If you observe this, P is the selector. We are selecting all the paragraph elements and we are using a property that is color. And also we are using a red color. This is the correspondent value for this property. When we are going to apply this, all the paragraph tags will get red color text in it. This is the syntax for the CSS. Similarly, we have various kinds of CSS. It's time to explain each one of them. The first one is inline CSS. Inline CSS. Next one is internal CSS. And the final one is external CSS. We have three kinds of CSS. Is inline CSS, second one is internal CSS, and the final external CSS. Alright, inline CSS is nothing but we can apply the CSS directly to a specific element of HTML. We have multiple paragraphs. We need to apply a specific. So for that we have to use inline CSS. For that we have to use style attribute in the HTML element, and we have to use equal to symbol. Similarly, we have to use property, colon, and value. If you are going to use multiple properties to a specific element, we have to use property 1, value 1, semicolon, property 2, value 2, again semicolon, and so on, property n, value n. This is how we are going to apply inline CSS. So we have to use style attribute for a specific element, and we have to use different kinds of properties in it. Similarly, internal CSS is nothing but we can use this kind of CSS in entire document. For that, we have to denote this kind of CSS in the head section of the document. In the head section of document, we have to use style element. I used style element here. And similarly, we have to apply styles here. For example, I'm going to use a selector that is something like span element, and here I'm going to use the property and the value. We have to use semicolon after ending of the statement. So this is how we are going to use internal CSS. So we can find the difference between these two. Inline CSS is nothing but we can apply styles to a specific element. We have various kinds of HTML elements. When we are going to apply styles to a specific element, we have to use the style attribute. This is not an element, this is attribute. And this is the internal CSS. For internal CSS, we have to choose the head section of the HTML document, and within the head section, we have to use the style attributes. Within these style elements, we can represent the styles. Based on this combination, we can use these styles anywhere in the entire document. This inline CSS we can use only in specific element, but in internal CSS we can use anywhere in the entire document. For external CSS, the syntax is very similar, but we have to create an external file with the extensions of CSS. For example, I'm going to create a file with the name of style.css. Within this file, we have to implement the styles properties. And we can provide a link in the HTML document. Based on that only, we can access the files. or we can access the styles in the HTML document. These are the three kinds of CSS available. The first one is inline CSS, the second one is internal CSS, and the last one is external CSS. Alright, now it's time to create a project for doing these all things in practical manner. Alright, let me create a new folder that is something like project. Cool. In this project, I'm going to create another folder that is something like CSS. Alright. Now, I would like to open this entire project in a favorite text editor. I have already installed a text editor that is Visual Studio Code. If you have any kind of other text editors, you can open that. No problem at all. Let me open the Visual Studio Code first. Now I'm going to open the new folder. So we have already created a folder with the name of project. I'm going to open that, open folder, and from here we have to choose the desktop environment because my project is available in desktop environment, and this is our project. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to use the red color. Alright, I just used paragraph tag and I applied style attribute. If you observe this, we are applying within the line or within the element. Now, when we are going to execute this program, we will get the sample text in red color. Let me execute this. Before going to execute, we have to save these files. That is very, very important. I just saved this file and I'm going to open it with the favorite web browser. So we have to open this index.html. Open with Chrome. Alright, now we are able to observe, we are able to see the text in the red color. Because we applied inline styles by using style attribute. Let me apply another style. So, for example, I'm going to use background. And I would like to use background color for this. So something like has DDD. I'm going to use has DDD as the background color. Let me save this and execute in the browser. If you observe this, we are able to see the background color for this. We applied two kinds of properties. The first one is background and the second one is color. Screen is not visible. My screen is not visible. So now my screen is visible. All right. Thank you everyone for responding. Screen is not visible. Now it is visible. From the starting of the code. Okay, from the starting of the code, we are not able to see my screen. Now it's fine. Yes. So actually I got a call from you, Swami. Sorry for this is this is some kind of internet issue here. That is the reason we are getting some kind of lag. No worry. No worry. So let me continue the session now. So from the beginning onwards, you are not able to focus on the screen. Screen is lagging, or screen is not visible properly. Okay, no problem. I will explain the coding part again. So I just want to remove this paragraph tag. So we have an empty body section here. I'm going to create a paragraph tag. So I just created a paragraph tag here. So if you observe this paragraph tag is the children for this body section. Paragraph tag is the children for this body section. All right. So if you want to apply styles to a specific element, we have to use style attribute. This kind of CSS is also called as inline CSS. So I'm going to use style attribute. I'm going to use color, that is something like red. I used style attribute, and again within the attribute we used color property along with the value of red. I'm going to use red color text. This is the red color text. Let me save this and execute in the browser once. If you observe this here, we applied styles to a specific element directly. So we used a paragraph element and we applied the style attribute to it. Within the style attribute, we used a property along with a value. The property is color. This is for changing the text color or the font color. And the value for this is red. And save this and execute in the browser once. So this is the red color text. We are able to see red color text in the output. All right. Now it's time to apply the background color. This is the second property for this font. I'm going to use background and I'm going to use something like gray color. I just used a gray color for the background. For the foreground, I used red. And for the background, I used gray color. Let me save this and execute in the browser. All right. Now we are able to see the gray color along with red color text. Cool. Now this is all about the inline CSS. Inline CSS is nothing but we can apply styles to a specific element directly by using style attribute. Within the line, we are going to apply the styles. This kind of CSS is called as inline CSS. All right. Now, I'm going to create another paragraph tag. So this is paragraph 2. This is paragraph 2. All right. Now the next concept is internal CSS. We already discussed how we are going to use inline CSS. Now I'm going to use internal CSS. Internal CSS is nothing but we can apply styles in the head section and we can use the style properties entire body. Let me use that. Within the head section, I'm going to use the styles. So for specifying the internal styles, we have to use the style attribute. All right. And within this, we have to mention. So I'm going to use paragraph tag because I'm going to select the paragraph element. Or it's better to select the body directly. And I'm going to use the background color for this. the background color is something like green. I just used green color as the background. So here we are using the style element within the head section, and we used a selector that is body here, and we used a background property along with the value that is green. Now save this and execute in the browser. We have to refresh this when we are going to modify the content in the HTML document or CSS document. We have to refresh this page. Let me refresh this. Yes, now we are able to see the background here. The background is in the green color. This is how we are going to apply the styles by using the style element in the head section. This kind of styles are called as internal CSS. Similarly, I am going to use color for this. Color, that is something like white color. So most of the time we are going to use the color codes only rather than the color names, because most of the browsers are not able to observe the color names. So that is the reason we have to use color codes instead of names. Whenever we are going to develop a web application, we have to check the browser compatibility. When we are going to use the color codes, each and every browser will support it. But when we are going to use the color names, most of the browsers are not able to observe, are not able to identify what kind of color we are going to use. So that is the reason we have to mention the color in the format of color codes. For this color codes, we have a open source website. We can get the color codes from there. Let me save this and execute in the browser once. Now we are able to see the white colored text. This text won't be changed because we already applied the styles to this by using inline CSS. Alright, now if you want to get color codes, we have a website that is open source, that is HTML color codes. When we are going to type HTML color codes, you can find all the color codes there. This is the first search engine. We are able to see the HTML color codes. Just click on this. And now we are able to see different kinds of colors. You can pick any kind of color and you can choose the color code from here. That is hexadecimal color code. For example, I would like to use the sky blue color. In that, I am going to choose a light color. So this is the color I am going to select. So here we are able to see the hexadecimal code for this. We have to copy this and we have to paste it in the specified element. For example, we used green color for the body background. Instead of green color, I am going to use the color code. That is C4EEF4. Remember everyone, when we are going to use color codes, we have to use small case letters. Here we are able to see all our capital letters. But when we are going to use color codes, we have to prefer the small case letters. So I am going to use C4 is okay. And E and F4. Alright, now save this and execute in the browser. Yes, the color gets changed. Similarly, this paragraph is not visible to us. The accessibility of this color code is very less. So we have to increase that accessibility by using the opposite color code for this. I am going to use 000. 000 indicates the black color. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now we are able to see this properly. So this is how we are going to use internal CSS. Alright. Now it's time to apply CSS by using external CSS. So I'm going to use the external CSS. So I just removed the inline CSS and internal CSS, all the stuff, because we already understood these two concepts, that is inline CSS and internal CSS. So I'm going to use the external CSS directly. So that is the reason I just removed the inline CSS and the internal CSS. So this is the paragraph 1. So we have paragraph 1 and paragraph 2, and the body section. Body is the parent and paragraph tags are the child. Paragraph tags are the children here. The first children is having the text like paragraph 1, and second children is having the text like paragraph 2. So this is very clear up to now, right? So I'm going to apply the external CSS. So if you observe the folder structure, we already created a folder with the name of CSS. Within this folder, I'm going to use a new file. I'm going to create a new file. So we have to use the file name for this. Remember everyone, when we are going to use external CSS, we have to save the file with the extension of CSS. I'm going to use style.css. Now style.css is available in CSS folder. This CSS folder and index.html are the children for this project, and style.css is the children for CSS folder. We can simply say style.css is the grandchildren for the project. Now I'm going to apply the styles here. Again, I'm going to use paragraph tag, and I'm going to use the color property again. I'm going to use the blue color. So here we are able to see the color code also. Yes. Now it's time to save this. Now the style.css gets created, and we implemented one kind of style here by using the selector, that is P, that is paragraph, and we used a property, that is the color, and the value for this is blue. Alright. Now we have to apply the style.css in index.html. For applying this, we have to choose the head section of it. So in the head section, we have to denote the style, the external CSS. For that, we have to use the link attribute. Alright, I'm going to close this link attribute first. Within the link attribute, we have to use two kinds of attributes. Those are relation. We have to use this relation. Without this, we can't get the CSS directly. That is REL, and we have to specify that is a style sheet, and we have to give the source for applying styles from external CSS. I'm going to use href. Within the href, we have to mention the path of the CSS file. So the CSS file, that is style.css, is available in CSS folder. So we have to use CSS folder. Within the CSS folder, we have a file that is style.css. Alright. Now we used link rel equals to style sheet, and href equals to CSS and style.css. Alright. Now let me save this file and execute in the browser. Yes, now we are able to see the white color background because we didn't apply any kind of color to the background. Similarly, we applied the foreground color to the paragraph, that is blue color. So that is the reason these two paragraph texts are displaying in the color of blue. This is how we are going to use external CSS. This is the differences between the inline CSS, internal CSS and external CSS. We have a few benefits in inline CSS as well as internal CSS as well as external CSS. The benefits for inline CSS is we need not to use any kind of selector. And similarly, internal CSS, we can declare n number of selectors within the document only, within the document. And in the external CSS, we can represent a specific style and we can apply that kind of styles in different kinds of folders or different kinds of files. So these are the benefits of these three. And benefits are okay, and it's time to discuss the limitations and drawbacks of each and every kind of styles here. The first one is inline CSS. When we are going to style a specific element, we have to mention the style attribute along with the property and value. So when we are going to write styles to a specific element, that is very complex because we have n number of elements in the HTML document. That is very complex to assign the styles to a specific element. If we are having 100 number of styles or 100 number of elements, we have to apply 100 styles to a specific element, right? We have to apply 100 kind of styles. That is very complex. And whereas internal CSS, when we are going to apply styles within the document, that may affect the performance of a web application because entire code need to be read by the server. So that is very complex. That may affect the performance of a web application. All right. Now the limitation for external CSS, when we are going to use multiple files, because we are using external CSS, when we are going to use multiple files in a project, it will take lack of time for loading. So these are the limitations of these three selectors. But as a developer, you have to use the external CSS. Okay, this is all about the kinds of CSS available. And the next one is we have to discuss the concept of selectors. Selectors plays a key role in CSS. This is very, very important. The selectors concept is very, very important. Let me discuss each one of them. The first kind of selectors are called basic selectors. Basic selectors, that means we can use the selectors directly. And the next one is relational selectors. Relational selectors is nothing but we can apply the relationship between the selectors. Based on the relationship, we can apply styles to a specific element. That is called a relational selector. And the final one is pseudo selectors. So we have three kinds of selectors. The first one is basic selectors. Next one is relational selectors. And the final one is pseudo selectors. We have three kinds of selectors available in CSS. These are basic selectors, relational selectors, pseudo selectors. Now it's time to start with the concept of basic selectors. In the basic selectors, we have ID, and the next one is class, element, and universal. we have four kinds of selectors in basic selectors. The first one is ID, class selector, element selector, and a universal selector. Alright. Similarly, we have various kinds of selectors in relational selectors too. The first one is descendant combiner. Descendant combiner. And the next one is child combiner. And the next one is adjacent sibling selector. Alright. Next one is general sibling selector. And the final one is attribute selectors. This is also one of the important selectors in all kind. So we have three kinds of selectors: basic selectors, relational selectors, pseudo selectors. In basic selectors, we have subcategories again: ID, class, element, and universal. Similarly, we have various kinds of selectors in relational selectors category. The first one is descendant combiner, child combiner, adjacent sibling selector, general sibling selector, and attribute selector. Let's start with the concept of ID selector first. For declaring a ID selector, we have to use hash symbol. Similarly, for declaring a class selector, we have to use dot symbol. Dot, that is something called full stop. And for element selector, we have to use HTML element, direct HTML element, something like paragraph, body section, division, and all this stuff. For universal selector, we have to use star symbol. Alright, now it's time to start with the concept of ID selector. Yes, ID by using hash. Manoj already responded. Can you show the code for external CSS? Who's that? Pavan. Pavan asked me that. So I just used only one property, that is color property, along with one value, that is blue. Okay, now it's time to apply the ID selector here. So I'm going to use a sample ID. I'm going to remove all the stuff here. For declaring an identifier, we have to use hash symbol. Alright, now I'm going to use a name for this selector. This is something like sample. Alright, this is the selector, and I'm going to use the property along with the values here. The property for this is something like background. Background. Alright, I'm going to use a background color for this. So that is something like #000. We know #000 indicates the black color. Cool. Now I'm going to use the color property too. That is #FFF. FFF indicates the white color. Save this and execute in the browser. Okay, we developed the styles here. This is okay. But when we are going to visit this, we have to use the styles which we are going to develop in the style.css. That is very, very important. So the ID name here is sample. We have to apply the styles in the HTML document. Let me open this. Here I'm going to apply the styles. So we already used ID. So that is the reason here we have to mention along with the ID name. Here we used a name that is sample. Similarly, we have to use that name here, that is sample, and save this and execute in the browser. Refresh. Now we are able to see background as black color as the background and white color for the foreground, white color for the text and black color for the background. Cool. Now it's time to use the dot. So we can use dot when we are going to represent a selector with a dot. That kind of CSS or selector is called as class selector. Cool. Now it's time to use the class selector here. I used class equals to sample. Save this and execute in the browser. Now if you observe this, we are not able to see any kind of styles here. So because we didn't save it, if you observe this, we are able to see a dot. We have to save this first. And let me open that browser, and now the styles get updated here. This is how we are going to use the class selector. We discussed two kinds of selectors. The first one is ID. When we are going to declare a identifier, we have to use hash symbol. For declaring a class selector, we have to use dot symbol. All right. Very similar to this, I'm going to use the element selector. We can use element directly. I'm going to use P. That means we are selecting the paragraph tag. We are selecting the paragraph tag from here. Let me save this and execute in the browser again. Now we are able to see the color combinations for both the paragraphs because we applied styles to a specific paragraph element. When we are going to use element selector directly, the styles will be applicable to each one of the element which we are represented in the style sheet. All right. Now the final one is star, that is universal selector. Universal selector is used for applying the common styles to each and every element available in the index.html file. Save this and execute. All right, so we are able to see the direct color is applied to the body also. We used universal selector, so that is the reason the color is directly applied to each and every element. So here we have body, the color is applied to the body as well as paragraph tag as well as the second paragraph also. What are the elements we have in the HTML? This kind of styles are applicable to each one of them. That is the importance of universal selector. When we are going to apply styles to all the selectors, all the elements of HTML, we have to use universal selector. We have to use star symbol for representing an universal selector. Cool. Now the next one is descendant selector. Listen focusedly everyone, because this kind of selectors, the relational selectors are very important, are little bit of confusing. I would like to, yes, this is okay. I would like to use a section. Like to use a section element, and I'm going to use a paragraph. So this is section 1 and paragraph 1. Okay, section 1 and paragraph 1. Now we are able to see the output here. Am I audible now? Yes. Thank you. Thank you for responding. And I hope my screen is also visible to you, right? Thank you. Thank you for responding in the chat box. So we just now discussed different kinds of basic selectors. Those are ID, class, element, and universal. And the next one is relational selector. So for applying styles, we have to maintain the relationship between the elements. That is very, very important here. So the first one is descendant selector. Most of the cases we have to use parent-child relationship. The first one is descendant combiner, or we can simply say this as descendant selector. All right. So let me apply the styles by using descendant combiner or descendant selector. For denoting a descendant selector, we have to use space symbol. So I'm going to use body directly because body is one of the selector. All right. Similarly, we have different kinds of paragraphs, but this paragraph is the grandchild for the body because section is the child for the body and this paragraph is the grandchild for the body. All right. Now I'm going to apply styles to the specific paragraph. I'm going to use color property and the value that is red. Cool. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now if you observe this, we are able to observe all the paragraph elements get red color. Even this is a grandchild for the body section. This paragraph is the grandchild for this body section. Even we are able to see the red color for this text also. This kind of selector is called as descendant selector. For denoting a descendant selector, we have to use space symbol between the two elements. I used body and the paragraph. Similarly, the next one is child combiner. For denoting styles by using child combiner, we have to use greater than symbol between the elements. Okay. So I'm going to use greater than between the elements, body and paragraph tag. And save this, we have to execute. Now if you observe this, we are able to apply the styles to okay. If you observe this here, the last two paragraphs are getting red color for the text, and the first is having the default color, that is black color, because this is not a direct child to the body section. This paragraph is not a direct child to the body section. This is the grandchild for the body section. That is the reason we are not able to apply any kind of styles to this specific element. but we are able to see the color manipulation for these two paragraph tags. This is the difference between the child combiner and the descendant selector. And the next one is adjacent sibling selector. This is also one of the important selector. So first of all, we have to understand the meaning of it. What is adjacent and what is sibling? That is very, very important. For example, sibling means all the children should have a common parent, and adjacent means immediately following. So let me show you how to implement this. We have a body, that is the parent, and we have a section along with a paragraph. Alright, so now we have to use these two elements for the relational selector. So section and the paragraph, we have to use these two elements for the relation. So I am going to use section, and the next one is paragraph. I am going to apply styles to these two elements. So here we are going to use adjacent sibling selector. We already understand what is an adjacent sibling selector. Adjacent means all the elements should have a common parent. Adjacent means immediately following. For denoting an adjacent sibling selector, we have to use concatenation operator or a plus symbol. Let me use the color, that is red. Here color is the property and we used red as the value. Save this and execute in the browser. If you observe this, we are able to understand this paragraph only having red color. Adjacent means immediately following. We are using two elements here, that is section and the paragraph. After the section, this is immediate children or immediate sibling. This paragraph is the immediate sibling for the section. That is the reason we are able to see the red color text for this. When we are going to use two paragraphs, here I would like to remove the paragraph. When we are going to use this, we have two kinds of paragraphs available. Those are paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. So this will be having the red color text once we are going to execute this. Let me execute this. Alright, now we can understand this is the immediately following sibling for this paragraph 1. Awesome. I hope you might be understand this concept. The next one is selector. For general sibling selector, we have to use tilde operator. For general sibling selector, we have to use tilde operator. In general, this paragraph and this paragraph and the section are the siblings. And we can simply say that these are the children for the body element. When we are going to apply styles by using general sibling selector, for example, I am going to use section and I am using paragraph here. Let me save this and execute it once. If you observe this, what are the elements or the siblings for the section will be in red color. Here we are able to see the red color text for the paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. General sibling selector means we can apply styles to all the siblings of it. We are selecting this section and we are applying styles to all the siblings of it. These two paragraph tags are the siblings for the section attribute. Whereas when we are going to use the adjacent sibling selector, the immediately following selector will be applicable with the same color or customized color code. This is the common difference between these two. So till now we discussed basic selectors In that we discussed 4 kinds of selectors, and we also discussed relational selectors. Within that we used descendant combiner, child combiner, adjacent sibling selector, and general sibling selector. Adjacent sibling selector is nothing but tiles to the sibling which is immediately falling to the specific element. Whereas by using general sibling selector, we can apply the styles to all the siblings of a specific element. This is the syntax for the general sibling selector. Okay, so the next one is attribute selector. So this is also very important, attribute selector. So let me use this one also. First of all, we have to understand what is an attribute in HTML. These are the elements, and we are applying the CSS, that is class selector here. So class is one of the attributes. So these are the attributes. When we are going to use a specific functionality within the element, that is called as an attribute. I would like to use an anchor tag for navigation. Within the navigation, I'm going to use something like target. I'm going to use target, and I would like to mention double quotations. Target means we can navigate from this page to another page. So we don't have any external page. That is the reason I'm going to use hash symbol instead of it. And I would like to use a text for this. That is something like click me. Alright, just execute it in the browser. Yes, click me. So click me is the link here, navigation link. Okay, now we can apply the styles by using the attributes also. So here we can, if you want to use the clickable property, we can use href. But I didn't use any kind of target value here because we don't have any external file. Let me use href. That is also hash symbol. Or it's better to provide the Google homepage address, something like www.google.com. Alright, now I would like to copy this. I would like to use that in href attribute. So I'm going to use target equals to underscore blank. Alright. So we used 2 attributes here. The first one is href and the second one is target. I'm going to apply styles based on this target. Alright. So first of all, we need to use the selector. So that is anchor element, and that is target. Target equals to, we have already applied the blank. So let me use the blank here. So we are applying styles based on the attribute. Alright, now I'm going to use color, and the color for this is red again. For better understanding, I would like to create another anchor tag. That is something like a href equals to something like hash symbol. Alright, This is also click me function. So this is a second navigation. So that is the reason I used to click me to save this and execute in the browser. All right, now we are able to see the red color text here because we are applying styles based on the attribute of it. The attribute here is underscore blank. So we are using the value also here. So we used target equals to underscore blank. So similarly, based on this, we can apply the styles. So we are able to see the target here. That is target equals to underscore blank. Okay. So now we used target equals to underscore blank. All right. Now I would like to use another attribute instead of it. For example, something like yes, yes. Now am I audible, right? Am I audible? No? Yes, yes. Please repeat descendant, child, and adjacent. So we already discussed about it. Okay. Let me explain each one of them again. So descendant combiner is nothing but we can apply styles to every children. Even that is the grandchildren, that is also fine. We can apply the styles directly. In the body, we used section, paragraph, and different kinds of paragraphs. But the paragraphs are the direct children to the body, and this paragraph is the grandchild for the body. Even we can apply styles by using descendant combiner. Descendant combiner will apply styles to each element within the parent. Here the body is the parent and we have different kinds of elements. We can apply styles to each and every element, whether that is a grandchild or nested grandchild or the children, that is fine. We can apply styles to each and every element of a specific body, a specific parent. That is descendant combiner. Child combiner means we can apply styles to the direct child. If you observe this body is the parent and all the paragraph tags are the children except this one because this is the grandchildren. We are not able to apply styles to this by using child combiner. Child combiner, the name itself, we can apply styles to its children only, not grandchildren or nested grandchildren. We can apply styles to direct children. Similarly, the adjacent sibling selector is we can provide the relationship between siblings. We have various kinds of siblings available here. By using adjacent sibling selector, we can apply styles to immediately following element. For example, this section is having different kinds of siblings, that is paragraph, anchor element, and all this stuff. But we can apply styles to this paragraph only because this paragraph is immediately following element to this section. General sibling selector and adjacent sibling selector are used for applying styles to the siblings, brothers and sisters. But this section and the paragraphs are the siblings here. When we are going to use adjacent sibling selector, adjacent means immediately following. When we are going to use these two selectors, the immediately following element will be applicable with the specified color. Alright, but when we are going to use general sibling selector, it applies the styles to each and every sibling of it. Here the section is the parent, we are going to select it. So the paragraph tag and the anchor tag and this anchor tag and this paragraph tag are also called as the general siblings of this section. But this paragraph is called as adjacent sibling. That is the difference. That is the difference between adjacent sibling and general sibling. Descendant and child combiner are implementing the parent-child relationship, and adjacent sibling selectors and general sibling selectors are used for applying styles to the siblings. One or two programs. I hope you might be understand. Sahiti. Yes. All right. Now the final one is we have to discuss a lot for this attribute selector. We discussed how to use an attribute selector. So here I am going to use a reasonable value for this target. That is something like hello. I am going to use hello. Target equals to hello. I just used target equals to hello. All right. Now I'm going to use target and I'm going to use cap symbol. Cap indicates the starting letter of the element. So here I'm going to use, we already used H. So the starting letter is H here. I'm going to use H here. All right. And save this and execute it once in the browser. All right. Refresh. Now we are able to see the color code here. We are able to see the red color because the attribute is starting with the letter H, because we used target equals to hello here. Similarly, I am going to use Z or Z. So this G is not available in the target value, but we are using it. Now let me save this and execute in the browser. We are not able to see the color now, because the starting letter is not Z. We used hello here, but the starting letter is Z here. We are mentioning the starting letter is Z. Similarly, we can use star symbol also. Star symbol means the specified value must and should have anywhere in this provided value. For example, this is the hello. We can use L, O, W and all the stuff. For example, I am going to use OW. So we have OW already in the index.html. So we are able to see that here. Let me save this and execute in the browser. We are able to see the red color because the target is having the specified color, the specified value, that is OW. Similarly, I am going to use WO and save this, execute in the browser. We are not able to see that because WO is not available in the specified value. That is the reason. We have to specify the order of value. Similarly, we have to mention the elements which is already available in the specified attribute value. we used target as the attribute here. Target as the attribute, and we used a specific value for this. We can use these characters only for applying styles. Screen is not visible. Just kindly respond. Are you able to see my screen now? Oh, okay. So most of the people are messaging me something like my screen is not visible properly. So kindly check your internet connectivity once. So I hope you might be understand the concepts of basic selectors and relational selectors. Is that clear, everyone? Yes, we forgot to use the ending symbol. So similarly, we used cap symbol and star symbol also. I'm going to use dollar here. So dollar means we have to represent the ending characters of it. I'm going to use W. W is the ending character for the specified value. So similarly, I'm going to use this. Let me save this and refresh. Now we are able to see the red color text here. Similarly, when we are going to use WO, WO is not available. This is not ending characters of the string. Once if you observe this, here we are able to see the normal text. All right. Let me use OW instead of WO. Now we are able to see the text in red color. So this attribute selector is very, very important. So for this, we have to use attribute. And for the positions, we have to use cap symbol. This is for the top. And similarly, star is for searching, that is similar to includes. And the final one is dollar, that is ending character. So these are the different kinds of selectors. So in tomorrow's session, we will discuss the concept of pseudo selectors. If you are having any kind of doubts, please let me know. If you are having any kind of doubts, basic selectors once again. Okay, Bhavyasri, thank you. So in basic selectors, we have different kinds of selectors. Basic selectors means we need not to use any kind of relationship. We can apply styles to direct element. We can apply styles to a direct element. For that, we have to use ID, class, element selector, and universal selector. For declaring identifier, we have to use hash. For declaring a class selector, we have to use dot symbol. For element selector, we have to use the HTML tags directly. We already discussed how we are going to use universal selector. We have to represent it with star symbol. And when we are going to use this universal selector, all the styles will be applicable to the each and every child in the HTML document, in the body section of it. These are the difference. And I would like to tell you one more difference between the ID selector and class selector. ID is providing uniqueness. We can use the class elements anywhere in the web document. We can use multiple times. But this is very difficult. We have to specify an identifier for a specific element. That is the difference between these two. By using class, we can apply styles multiple times. But by using ID, we can apply styles to a specific element that is having limit. Okay. So share this document. Yeah, I will share this document. So this is the document link. So Prem Kumar responded, thank you. Okay. So yes, I don't have any kind of PPTs. I took up this class. Yes. So I took up this class accidentally, so I don't have any kind of PPTs. If you want PPTs, I will provide them later. Yes. Welcome, Anjan Kumar, Vijay Vamsi, Swarna. Yeah, welcome, Divya. Most of the people messaging me regarding the attendance. So yes, welcome Manoj. So once we are go through the feedback link, when we are going to give the feedback, your attendance will be calculated. I think Rajshekar Reddy shared a link, that is day 3. I think this is an assignment, right? Okay. So we will look into it.